a Friday edition of the Phillies Fastball. What's going on, everybody? And good Friday. It's Phillies and Braves. Mike Gill, Oscar Budejen, and, of course, Jeff Kerr. We're hoping that Jeff pops in here momentarily. But, Oscar, it's Phillies and Braves. It's kind of a rivalry weekend. You've got the Flyers and Penguins. You got the Sixers and the Celtics. And we got the Phillies and Braves this weekend. And the Phillies, they kind of need all these other teams getting the distraction away from them right now. They need to start playing some better baseball. As we've chronicled all week long on Phillies Fastball, this team is just not playing good ball right now.
No, absolutely. Absolutely, Mike. I mean, happy Friday to you and to everyone listening to us. I mean, it's an interesting time for the Phils. I was looking at the stats this week. We've allowed 9.3 runs per game. I mean, if you look at the Cup Series, and we've scored 6.3 because of what we did in that first game. But it's just, I mean, it's been painful, to be honest with you. And the reality is that we're coming to face a Braves team that is the hottest team in baseball. I mean, they're hitting in full cylinders. It's not going to be an easy series. Look, interesting. Both the Phillies and the Mets are in last place in the National League East. I mean, because the Nationals won last night. So, and the Nationals, believe it or not, can you believe the Washington Nationals are the number one team scoring runs in baseball, 5.6 ahead of the Braves? Braves are third. It's just with decimals, but I mean, it's incredible. I mean, the Nationals are hitting very well. They got the best hitting team and the worst pitching at 591. So it's not pretty, but look, we know what this team is capable of. I mean, it's 18 games, 11% of the season on, but we just have to start hitting. I mean, we just start. Schwarber, Turner, Harper needs to get going and start leading this team.
You know, you got the standings up in front of us, and Oscar, I look at, you got two lefties pitching for the Braves starting tonight and tomorrow. Chris Sale tomorrow, a really tough lefty. Perez tonight. If you happen to get swept in the series, you could be almost 7 games out before we get to the month of May here. And we talked about the Braves last year, got off to that terrible start, and they could never get back into it. This is the kind of series, it almost feels like the Phillies have to find a way to win one of these games against the lefties and then hope that Andrew Painter gives you a good game on Sunday night.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is that we got Chris Sales going against Christopher Sanchez. If Christopher is in full cylinder, he can match him one-on-one. Chris Sales is a tremendous competitor, one of the best pitchers in baseball. If you win a Game 7, he's probably one of the top 5 guys you think of in a Game 7 because of his competitiveness. It'll be interesting, that game tomorrow. I do believe the game you need to go get is Perez today. Even though he's had a good year, I mean, he had a good record against the Phillies. I mean, he started 9 games, 10 games overall, 4-1 and 3.78 is a very good ERA for Martin Perez. And when you start looking inside the numbers, Schwarber hits 182 against him. In 11 at bats, he doesn't have a home run or RBI against him. And Harper, when you look at Bryce Harper, he has 16 at bats against him. He has a 125 average, not very pretty, and an OPS of 410. So both Harper and Schwarber have not done good. But the good news is that, believe it or not, Alec Bohm has a 471 batting average on 17 at bats against Martin Perez, and the other one have done really well is Mundito, has a 400 average, and Trey Turner as well. So you see the right-handed batters have done damage against Perez, and we're going to have to – I'm sure Sosa is going to be in the lineup today. Maybe Alec Bohm, because of his history against him, could be playing tonight.
Yeah, Perez, by the way, 10 games against the Phillies, 4-1 with a 3.78 ERA. And then on the flip side, this is a huge game. You're talking about you got to steal one of these games against the lefties. Perez is the best one, and you're turning to Taijuan Walker. And, Oscar, let's talk about his struggles. I mean, it's been well chronicled, 11 games against the Braves. He's been okay, 3-2, 3.63 ERA. But, man. 4.63 ERA, excuse me. If you're down 2-3-0 in the first inning again, I would imagine that ballpark's going to get pretty restless.
Yeah, we're going to have to start early. Today, all eyes are going to be on the Phillies because both the Flyers play on Saturday and the Sixers on Sunday. So all eyes are going to be on the Phillies tonight. This is going to be a huge game. It's a huge series. I mean, the Braves, number three team in all baseball scoring runs, and in terms of ERA, they're number one. So it's gonna be very very tough to beat a Braves team that is hot and comes with confidence, winning 12 out of 19 games in play on.
Yeah, and you talk about Walker's struggles. I mean, obviously, it's been that first inning, so hopefully they can get that taken care of, and the Phillies offense can get a little bit more consistent. That's been the problem. They just have not shown consistency. They've had the big inning, Oscar. One big inning seems to be what they're giving you, and then nothing after that. And you look at the runs, 4 runs, their strikeouts, 23%. They're not walking at all. So if you don't get a hit, they're not getting on base all that much. But I think the numbers that really stand out, the starting pitching ERA, we talked about it the other day. They are 27th in baseball in that starting pitching ERA. And overall, they're 26. This pitching just hasn't been what we thought so far either.
Look, can Taiwan Walker give us a surprise? I mean, that's what we're all hoping as Phillies fans. I mean, that we get a great outing from him today. The issues with him have his beginnings. I mean, when he starts a game, he's allowing 2 or 3 runs in the first inning, and that's, I mean, absolutely put the team in a bind, and it's not easy. So Taiwan needs to get a couple innings under his belt and then start throwing to a very good Braves team. I mean, Olson is hot. They got Acuna, they got Harris, they got Riley. I mean, this team's playing some very good baseball, Mike. And I mean, when you start looking at the matchup, one versus the other one, I mean, they beat you on every category except base on balls among their hitters. They're only at 8.6%, and we're only at 8.7%. But I mean, when you start looking at the numbers, I mean, the Braves have a huge advantage overall starting the series.
Yeah, the numbers, by the way, they score 5.5 runs a game, 3rd best in the league. They strike out only 19%. That's 4th best in the league. Their ERA, 2.93, best in the league. Starting pitching ERA, best in the league. And the relief pitchers, 6th best. This is a total flip from them because last year they had so many injuries. So if you're going into the series thinking, that Braves team wasn't all that good last year, we just gave you the numbers. They're 12-7. And I think the big conversation is you lose this game tonight, you're 4.5 back. Chris Sale tomorrow, it puts a lot of pressure on your team to try to score and scratch out a run against Chris Sale. You could be 5.5 back going into Sunday Night Baseball with Andrew Painter. And that puts a lot of pressure on that kid to say, hey, we need you to get us this game. So tonight, Friday night, Oscar, this game is almost imperative.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're going to need the Adolis Garcias, the Alec Bohms, believe it or not. And yes, I said Alec Bohm. You're going to need the Mundito Sosas and the Trey Turners to carry this team. As I told you before, neither Harper nor Schwarber have done much against them. So I'm expecting that this is going to be a very interesting game. On the other hand, when you look at Walker against Atlanta, you see, let me see, Riley's 333 against them in 15 at-bats. He has a home run. The other guy that has 2 home runs against him is actually a lefty, is Harris. Harris has 2 home runs against him and 3 RBIs in 9 at-bats. So, look, it's not going to be easy, Mike. It's going to be a tough series. The Braves, I mean, are a tough task for the Phils, but the Phils are going to have to find a way. I mean, we got to get out of this funk. And look, losing 3 out of 4 series at home to start the year, wow. I mean, and we lost only, 3 series all of last year. I mean, speaks a whole year. Here's our friend Jeff. He's sending us a message. I feel the Phillies will take 2 out of 3 this weekend, and fans will feel better on Monday. Look, if they took
a lot of positive vibes there, Jeff.
Absolutely, man. We need we absolutely need that. The numbers are not saying that, but we definitely need the vibes. And look, the Phils are they're a team. I mean, they're a great team. The question is when are they going to wake up? So,
well, I want to kind of talk about that because you said they've already lost more home series, so something's different.
Or the same number of series they lost.
Same as all of last year. Rob Thompson said we're going to get better. We're a good club. You hear a lot of this same messaging. It feels like, and you wonder at what point does that message get stale? Hey, we're going to get better. We're a good club. We've heard this a lot over the years, and it has worked out. But at what point do we think Something doesn't feel right, and maybe the messaging's getting a little stale.
Mike, and it starts with pitching, right? I mean, this team, the way this team was assembled, the way this team was assembled was to rely on our starting pitching, and we know that with Joan Duran, we have much better back end of the bullpen than the way we had before. But when you start looking at the numbers, I mean, 28th in a starting pitching ERA and 20th among our relief pitching. I mean, it's concerning. I mean, it's very concerning. Even though when you look at the base on balls and the strikeouts, we're among the elite in baseball. I mean, we're number 2 in base on balls and we're number 3 in strikeouts. So it's more a matter of putting it all together at once and start playing better baseball. And it starts with pitching and it starts with defense. You do that, and then hopefully the bats will wake up and we can get things going.
Well, I definitely agree that I think the pitching is less of a concern to turn things around. I mean, you get Wheeler back next weekend. You got Wheeler and Luzardo and Painter and Sanchez, obviously. Nola is what he is at this point. But you got 4 guys who have electric stuff. So I think the pitching, I am starting to get a little concerned about this offense, Oscar. I think that Turner and Schwarber and Harper, even if they do turn it around and kind of take off, and Schwarber's hitting for power, Schwarber's giving you a Schwarber year so far. I mean, at the end of the year, he might hit around 230. He's hitting for power. Schwarber's doing what he normally does. Turner, though, 308 on base, 17 strikeouts. There is some concern from me about Turner. Harper, again, not bad, but I don't know that we're seeing this MVP level Harper and then the rest of the team. Marsh is on a torrid pace again to start the season. Can he keep this up? Garcia's been good, not great. Bowman, Stott, I do have some concern. I don't know where these 2 guys, they look lost, and I don't know where they get back to. Realmuto's been better than I thought. Crawford's cooled off a little bit after a really hot start. I do have concerns that this offense will be able to be consistent enough. I do think there's legitimate questions there.
I think that the challenge with the Phillies is you cannot continue playing hero ball. And what I mean by that is a solo home run by Schwarber, a solo home run by Harper, Turner on the other day with a solo home run. We need to play more complementary baseball, and it's the entire lineup. This entire lineup needs to start playing better baseball, needs to start getting on base. So when the Schwarber and the Harpers come to bat, you got people on base that you can bring in. I'm expecting Garcia's going to have a good weekend, particularly with 2 lefties. I'm not sure. I gotta check his numbers against, and I'll find it in a second, which I'll have here against Chris Sale. Let me see. Chris Sale Garcia has 2 RBIs against him in 5 at bats. So look, I mean, Chris Sale is going to be a very tough client. Schwarber has actually 2 home runs against Chris Sale. So hopefully we can get the bats going there. But look, it's not going to be a pretty series. It's going to be a tough series, tough-fought series, and it needs to start today. I want to see Stott will probably not play, and Mondito will play second base, but we're going to see the guys like Turner, like Crawford, getting on base. So when Schwarber and Harper come to bat and Garcia come to bat, they can bring them in. Right now, Schwarber leads the team with 12 RBIs. Harper is tied with March with 11, and then Baum has 10. And Garcia has only 5. And that's one thing. Take a look how many, the production of a Stott. 2 runs, 3 RBIs. I mean, there's no way you need a lot more production from this lineup than what we've seen so far.
Yeah, Oscar, and you talk about a guy to keep an eye on tonight. You mentioned it. Martin Perez is the starter. Alec Boehm is 8 for 17 with a home run. So if he doesn't get going against Perez, this is one guy he has really fared well against. Also, Trey Turner, 5 for 14 with a home run. Realmuto, 5 for 18. Harper just 2 for 16. Schwarber just 2 for 11. So obviously, your big guys have struggled against the lefty. Obviously, let's take a look at some of the splits here. The lefties are really struggling overall. That number against left-handed pitching, that's not sustainable for success. 173 batting average, 287 on base, and a 537 OPS. That is not a winning ball club right there.
It is not a winning ball club, and what happens is the heart of your lineup is lefty, right? With Harper and Schwarber and then March, which are your run producers so far this year, and they're not, I mean, hitting anything against lefties. So the next 2 days are going to be tough. I mean, you saw the numbers there for Schwarber. He has a couple of home runs against Chris Sale, so hopefully, but I mean, complete domination of Martin Perez against him. In 11 at bats, he's hitting 182 with a 432 OPS. Those are not very promising numbers. So
let me ask you this, Oscar. With those lefty numbers being what they are, do we think the Phillies should start thinking about splitting Schwarber and Harper?
It's a possibility. I mean, I thought about maybe putting Schwarber back to leadoff. Remember when this team in 2023, I mean, he was the leadoff, and then Turner was the second hitter. Maybe to start getting a different type of chemistry on this lineup and on this team. It's a very valid point that we probably should split them at least now, so we can get them going. I mean, that would be something I definitely would do.
Yeah, I mean, you think about a possible configuration of Schwarber back at the top, Turner, Harper. Now the other problem is you would have Crawford. You would have Crawford and Schwarber, the back-to-back lefties from 9 and 1. There's your. I mean, everywhere you slice it, you have too many lefties in this lineup. It feels like that. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Oscar.
Crawford had hit well against lefties last year. He was really, really good against lefties. So maybe look, I don't mind that too much. And they're so different. I mean, one is the speeds guy, make contact. The other one more the power hitter. I don't mind that, but we need to do something to spark this team. I mean, there's something that you need to do because, I mean, we cannot continue hitting the way we're hitting or pitching the way we're pitching. And look, let's be clear. It's not going to be an easy weekend when you got Painter. What can we expect of Painter on Sunday Night Baseball on primetime? I mean, it's going to be a lot of pressure on him on Sunday. And tomorrow you got Chris Sale. We have Christopher Sanchez, which is a good matchup, at least for us on paper. But then Taijuan Walker, you don't know. I mean, it's a box of chocolate. You don't know what type of chocolate you're going to get.
I'll tell you what, Oscar, I hate to say it, but it's a big game for Walker tonight. He gets the ball tonight against this Braves team that's first place. You can't be down a couple runs early the way this offense is going, especially against lefties. If you're down 2-3-0, I would imagine the Boo Birds are going to come out, and this could be an ugly weekend here. Jeff, one of the people watching in the commenters, said, you got to take 2 out of 3. To get 2 out of 3, you got to win this game tonight. I hate to say it early, but you can't be they'd be 4.5 games back going into tomorrow against Chris Sale if they do not. And you look at what they have coming up here. For those of you who are watching on the video portion of the show, coming up next, you've got the Cubs for 4 at Wrigley, and then you're going back to Chicago for 3 more. This is a huge early stretch of games.
Atlanta. You're going to Atlanta.
Back to Atlanta,
four to Chicago, and then 3 games in Atlanta.
Right, and look at those pitching matchup. You've got Imanaga again that you're going to face on Tuesday night. Jameson Taillon, always another guy with good arm. And then in that Brave series, you
got Cabrera. He has a 1.93 ERA. He pitches tonight. He has a 1.93 ERA. He's going to go against Walker. That's going to be a huge disadvantage for the Phillies in that game.
Yes, and by the way, the Braves next week, the Phillies do have their starters listed as Painter, Nola, and Luzardo. So we are keeping a look to see if Wheeler appears at some point maybe next weekend and whose spot he would take. By the way, Taijuan Walker is scheduled to pitch on Wednesday, the 22nd at Chicago. We know that Wheeler's pitching on Sunday. So I don't know where he would fit back in if he makes his next start in Philadelphia.
I mean, he could probably jump in on Friday again, and you move Painter down and maybe go to a 6-man rotation. That is another big possibility, Mike, there. Look, there is, to me, you have to have the Eagles mentality, one game at a time. We got to focus on today and find a way to win today to then worry about tomorrow, because the way you're right now, to be honest with you, if you look at our stats and our record, I think we're lucky that we're 8-10. The way we played, and the numbers, the way they look, we're lucky that we're 8-10 at this point.
I would agree. I mean, they're just not hitting and they're not pitching in some of the games. I mean, that Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. The defense has been terrible too, and the base running again. But this has been a problem. The base running has been a problem for the last couple of years. The defense, they've had some leaky defense this year, and you thought that was going to be better this year. Especially you got right field, much better outfield in right field anyway. You don't have nearly as good defense in center field with Bader and Rojas. Those two guys, excellent. Crawford's been good, but, when he doesn't play, you have to go to Marsh. That's a big drop-off in center field. Yeah. But the defense has, and Otto Kemp has not been good in the outfield.
And you're going to have to put him against those two tough lefties. So he's going to have his at-bats the next 2 days. Look, if Otto Kemp does not deliver this weekend, he might be going down and bringing somebody up, because we need better production from a right-handed hitting in left field when Marsh needs to sit down.
Well, as our buddy Jeff Kerr points out, he's not here with us today, but Adolis Garcia in the cleanup spot this season, 4 for 15, which is 267 with 2 doubles. He's been okay there. But you talk about Kemp, another guy, right-handed bat, so far 2 for 16. He's hitting 125 this season. And as you said it and Jeff said it, he needs every day at bats, and they're not here for them.
Yeah, and my solution is very simple, and it's not to downplay who he is or what he's capable of doing. He needs at-bats every day. You play him down in AAA a month, hitting every single day, getting his bat back in full swing, and then you bring him back to be the left fielder platoon that we expected again with March sitting down against tough lefties.
All right, well, obviously it's a big weekend as we've chronicled here on Phillies Fastball. Oscar, Walker, and Perez tonight. Christopher Sanchez against Chris Sale. Hey, this is the type of game where Christopher Sanchez, you're the ace now. If you're on a losing skid, you need to have a stopper here because he hasn't had his best outings his last 2 out.
No, he has not. He has not. And look, that's the opportunity that we have here tonight. That's the opportunity that we have this weekend. It's a huge series. I know it's early. It's a huge series, Mike. I mean, we're playing the Braves, the number 1 team right now in the National League East. If you're going to win this series, if you're going to win this division, this series, It needs to start tonight. And it needs to start with Taijuan Walker at least kind of grinding it and finding a way. If he allows 2 runs in 5 innings, I'll take it. And then the bats need to wake up. We just need to play complementary baseball and the 3 facets of the team. I mean, with hitting, pitching, and defense, we just need to take it to another level. We cannot continue the same play with the way we've been playing.
Well, and I want to bring up another point. If the Braves start to pull away in the division with this series here, I mean, if you get swept, you're 6.5 back. But I want to bring this up. The league itself, the National League itself, is a lot deeper. The wild card, it seems, now I don't know how many of these teams are going to stick around all season long, but the wild card looks like it's going to be a very jumbled team. You got Arizona, San Diego, Milwaukee, the Cubs, the Cardinals, the Reds. The Pirates are much better this year. Miami's probably better than they were a year ago. Atlanta is definitely better than they were. If the Mets turn things around, it's going to be a crowded wild card field too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be, look, San Diego is playing really well right now. San Diego is playing much better. I expected their pitching to flounder with Garbage out and Musgrove out, but they have held themselves very nicely. And then when you look at the Phillies, look at what's coming up, right? So we're going to go to Chicago to play the Cubs and the Braves, which is not going to be easy. Then we have San Francisco at home, and we have to travel to Miami. Miami has been playing very good baseball. Alcantara is pitching very well. Eury Perez is a very good pitcher. They got talent there. Then we have the Athletics coming into town, and then Colorado. The Athletics are a very good hitting team. They might not have as good pitching. And then Boston, we need to go to Boston and Pittsburgh is in first place, believe it or not. I mean, it's not going to get any easy. It's not going to get any easy. We need to start playing better baseball, and hopefully as the summer begin to come in and the weather starts getting hot, particularly Schwarber and Harper needs to get going here.
I will say it's been unusually hot, and the bats have not They have not joined this nice weather so far. By the way, the wild card, it's very early, but the Phillies are 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. The Padres have won 8 straight. The Reds are a wild card team, and Arizona is the third wild card team currently. That is a look at the Phillies. Our Phillies Fastball each and every day, Monday through Friday. You can join us right here. And, of course, you can get it on all social media sites. Make sure you find us on social media, at Mike Gill Show, at Jeff Kerr, PHL, at Oscar Budejen. You can find us at all the social media sites. And, of course, we talk Phillies each and every day. Big series against the Braves, Oscar. Hopefully for Monday's Fastball, we're talking about 2 out of 3 at least. Because if not, Monday's Fastball could get a little interesting.
We'll have the Phillies Weekly Show immediately after the game. We'll do it for a few minutes immediately, like a post-game show. But then we'll be here Monday, and I can't wait to talk about this series and what happened with the Flyers and the Sixers and all of the above. Mike, it'll be an interesting Monday, depending on what happens this weekend.
All right, man. We will catch up on Monday, everybody. Have a great weekend with the Flyers and the Sixers and, of course, the Phillies and the Braves. Phillies Fastball. We'll talk to you next week.
Go Phils, go Flyers, go Sixers. Take care, guys.